Hello, thanks for joining me. Christmas Eve, Tuesday the 24th of December 2019, and we've got a Sagittarius moon right through until tomorrow. Christmas Day, 1:45 p.m. Pacific, 4:45 p.m. Eastern, and 21:45 p.m. here in UK. Actually, on Boxing Day in New Zealand, we get the moon moving into Capricorn, and we've also got that solar eclipse in Capricorn, and that is really building up at the moment. The bottom line is that the second half of December generally highlights Jupiter and Uranus. So, Jupiter being the ruling planet of Sagittarius, Sagittarius is certainly an important sign in all of this. It's expansive, it's about freedom, it's about looking forward more than anything, and I hope we're all doing that over the holiday season, because that is one of the things the holiday season is about. So optimism really is the one that jumps out at me here. I think we're not too far away from the concept of generosity during the holiday season. But optimism and openness, actually, it's being open to change. That's really important, not just at this time of year, but for the whole of life. And it's a personal thing as well, kind of the generosity towards other people is such an important thing. But being open to change, that's what really matters, because the solar eclipse in Capricorn that's coming up, well, tomorrow or Boxing Day in UK, actually, but it's certainly very close now. It involves a great leap forward, and we're the ones who have to take that leap. We have the angels to help us. We have everything really cosmic going on to help us with it, especially at the moment. But unless we're willing to kind of change our own hearts and be willing to take that leap forward, we will not get anything like as much out of it. So we're coming really close to that solar eclipse, and that solar eclipse is very much a new moon thing. So the moon right now, 4.1% full, and the actual new moon, 26th of December at 5:13 a.m. GMT UK time, UTC, if you will. There are so many names for it. So that's 13 minutes past midnight on the 26th, and actually 13 minutes past 9 on the Pacific side, on the west side of the States and Canada, is when the new moon comes in, and it's something like 17 minutes past rather than 13 minutes past that the solar eclipse is actually at its most visible, and that's in the southern hemisphere. We're not expecting to see too much of it in the northern hemisphere, but we are certainly feeling it. I can see it even in a thing as ordinary as social media. You can see it going on everywhere. You can see this influence happening. The sun is trine Uranus today, so sudden moves are likely to be kind of in the air somewhere, and radical things going on as well. Well, that's all to do with the Sagittarian openness as much as anything else, but it's certainly a thing that happens when the sun trines Uranus, whether Uranus is retrograde or not. People come up with radical ideas, and they'll actually hit you up about them. They'll actually want to get your opinion. Just don't hold back. That's the bottom line. Don't feel we've got to all kind of be extra careful and not really do anything, because it's the time to get things happening. It's going to be controversial. It's going to be surprising. But if no one ever broke the mold, there would be no new inventions, and we'd all still be living in caves, I suppose, for want of a better way of looking at it. So be willing to accept change if you can. That really is the key today, and it's always the key when the sun is trine Uranus. The moon is square Neptune to go with that, and that brings a certain amount of confusion and actually a certain amount of uncertainty. Trying not to say certain too often, but what can you do? Feelings run high, and people have an altered view of things as well. So it's really super important to hang on to that willingness to accept change and not to hang on to the past. Okay, there is something to hang on to, but it's the future, and the future is where the answers are. Could be misunderstandings though with the moon square Neptune, so look out for them. People's imagination tends to be quite inflated, particularly with the eclipse coming up, particularly with the Sagittarius moon, and with the new moon as well. That is definitely a thing. So, I don't know, evaluate things, keep it real, but do keep looking at the future, because the future is very real. It really is coming, and it is going to make a huge difference. Mercury is void in Sagittarius today, so nervous energy is really quite elevated. We might see our plans falling apart. Well, isn't that always the case with Christmas or whatever else we're doing for the holiday season? Nothing really goes the way we plan every single time, does it? So do be aware of that. Communication could be difficult. That's all part of the Moon square Neptune misunderstandings type of thing. And of course, with the Sun trine Uranus, which is retrograde, that is an issue too. High winds are blowing, basically, and if we try to resist what the winds of change are trying to do, then we're just going to either get left behind or somehow it's going to be very difficult. So really do be open to things. Venus void in Aquarius. Emotions are strong, and that can actually get people to act things out. Again, no bad thing, except to say that some people are going to be taking risks that other people don't really support. So, try to be kind of understanding, I suppose, if people want to take risks, because it's the same thing again, it's innovation. Where does the innovation come from if no one takes a risk? If you're thinking of taking a risk, do be careful, okay? I've got to put a disclaimer on that and say it's not my fault if it goes wrong, because when people take risks, they do go wrong sometimes. But think about what advice we very often give to parents and just friends of people. You've got to allow people the freedom to make their own mistakes. I think Gandhi said freedom is not worth having if it doesn't include the freedom to make mistakes. Well, that is the nature of life, and astrology is very much about the nature of life. Mars void in Scorpio. Same thing again, actually. Some individuals are going to be doing things that make other people panic. It's also correspondences everywhere. That's the word I'm looking for. Risk taking again comes into Mars being void in Scorpio, but wherever there's anything kind of causing controversy between people, wherever it looks like there's going to be negativity, arguments, that kind of thing, try and channel that into something positive, something constructive, so you're actually getting things done. That will bring the innovational side into things. Excuse me. On the plus side, Jupiter is sextile Neptune, and that is really positive. Spiritual optimism, idealism, high hopes, inflated expectations. Well, yeah, things do get inflated sometimes. That's another fact of life. But more or less, people are acting on what they're seeing with the third eye, rather than with the round things at the top of their face. And that is always very positive when we've got to move forward, when we've got to bring newness into things. And I'm saying we've got to bring newness in. Well, the newness is coming anyway. Best welcome it. That's what I think, friends. As we keep on going through it, Saturn conjunct Pluto, control of resources can be a thing. Actually, that really is so often the case, isn't it? And that's a big issue in the way the world is going at the moment, the way everything is actually happening on a global scale. Some people are throwing their weight about, and that can limit freedom. So, all this openness and optimism does have some people trying to put limits on it. It's just another fact of life. But basically, we can leave it to the leaders to make the changes that need to happen. Economic conditions are always on the change, and we might see some news about that today with Saturn conjunct Pluto. Uranus void in Taurus, unconventional, radical, surprising actions. So we're back to that theme of newness coming in. Neptune void in Pisces just makes things a bit unclear, really, in terms of where things are going. But that is where we've really got to be optimistic, I feel is the best word for that. And forward looking, again, keep looking forward, because that is where all the influences are going. And finally, Pluto is void in Capricorn. So some are trying to throw their weight about again. People are a bit intolerant, people can be a bit impatient, but Pluto is way out there. It's an influence that is very far-flung from the world, and as the moon is actually waning right down at the moment, and we're so close to new moon, that shouldn't be too much of a difficulty. There shouldn't be too much energy behind that, but do be aware, there's always a balance going on. For everything that's open and optimistic, there's an opposite thing going on somewhere. But the openness is where we need to focus our thoughts and our minds and our hearts and whatever we're trying to do today, tomorrow, over the festive season, generally speaking, because we are going into 2020 and 2020 is full of big changes, certainly in astrology, and that is going to be playing into the ways of the world as well. So watch this space. It's all coming. I will be here again tomorrow, and also available to do readings at the moment for a very small fee. Hit me up on Facebook Messenger or email me 35and83@gmail.com. That is 35and83@gmail.com, and I'll be here to help as much as I possibly can. Hoping to do a live session on YouTube doing mediumship later on Christmas Eve. Basically, I never quite know how well that's going to work because I'm so deep in the countryside of West Wales here. But, Christmas Eve it is. The veil is thin, and the veil is even going to be thinner when we get the solar eclipse going on. So a very good time for any kind of spiritual practice. Meanwhile, I'm going to leave it there, friends. Thanks very much for watching. Thumbs up, please, if you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Please share me around the internet. That really makes such a difference. And leave me a comment, because it is great to share the journey. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing for your holidays, have a good relaxing time, and keep your focus on the future, okay? That is where everything is at the moment. We know what's happened in the past. The future is where we need to have our hearts and our minds focused. Okay, have a good one. Peace.